All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this village board meeting to order on February 3rd, 2025, and ask if those who have not already risen to please rise and join us in the village board in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Baldino?
Here.
Trustee Tinaglia?
Here.
Trustee Dunnington?
Here.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Here.
Trustee LaBedz?
Here.
Trustee Grasse?
Here.
Trustee Bertucci?
Here.
Trustee Shirley?
Here.
President Hayes?
Here. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes, and we have just one set to approve tonight. That's from our village board meeting of January 21st, 2025. Are there any changes or passes?
Pass.
Passed by Trustee Baldino.
I would move approval of the minutes of the meeting from January 21st, 2025. Second.
Motion by Trustee LaBedz, seconded by Trustee Grasse. Any questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we have the approval of the accounts payable, and I'll call on Trustee Bertucci.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move approval of the warrant register for the check date January 30th, 2025 in the amount of $6,088,938.30.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Bertucci, seconded by Trustee Baldino. Any questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Baldino?
Yes.
Trustee Dunnington?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia?
Yes.
Trustee Grasse?
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz?
Yes.
Trustee Shirley?
Yes.
President Hayes?
Yes. Well, next we have under recognitions and presentations some very special events to conclude tonight, and that's the promotion of 5 new members of our fire department. And so we appreciate everyone being here this evening. I imagine that's the reason why we have such a full boardroom tonight. And so I'm going to come down here. And first up is Andrew J. Benkert, being promoted from battalion chief to deputy chief. So if you'd join me up front. Deputy Chief, soon to be Deputy Chief, Benkert was hired into the Arlington Heights Fire Department as a firefighter in 2007. He was promoted to lieutenant in 2018 and then to battalion chief in 2022. During his tenure, Andy gained valuable knowledge and experience that provided him the background necessary to successfully fulfill the deputy fire chief position. This includes fire officer 1 and 2, fire service instructor 1 and 2, hazmat and TRT certification, incident command and safety training, leadership courses, and he's a recent graduate from the Office of the State Fire Marshal Chief Fire Officer Program. In addition to the above, Andy holds a bachelor's degree in construction engineering from Iowa State University and maintains involvement in residential building construction that keeps him up to date in building codes, materials, and processes. This knowledge is invaluable to our fire department and rescue responses and will be called upon in future department endeavors. Deputy Chief Benkert is also extremely familiar with fire department vehicles, serving as our fleet department liaison. He has a good working relationship with the public works staff and understands the public procurement process. And he also gives back to the department and the community as co-chair of the Holiday Meals Program. Andy and his wife Jennifer, along with their 3 children, Jack, Anna, and Mary, live in Glen Ellen. Congratulations, Deputy Chief Benkert, on your new assignment. And now we'll make it official. And please feel free to come up and take photographs if you would like. Andy, if you raise your right hand and repeat after me. And state your full name.
I, Andrew J. Benkert,
Having been appointed to the office of Deputy Fire Chief
having been appointed to the office of Deputy Fire Chief
in the village of Arlington Heights,
in the village of Arlington Heights,
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Deputy. Now, before you go, you got to say a few words.
All right. I'll just take a quick moment. I want to thank Mayor Hayes, the village board, for taking time out of the meeting tonight to let the fire department come here and do our promotional ceremony. These are milestones for all of us to achieve, so it's important that we're recognized for them, and we appreciate you guys taking the time for that. I want to thank Manager Recklaus and Chief Harris for the trust and faith and confidence you have in me to fulfill this office and do this position. It's a weighty position, and it has not gone unfelt on me so far. Citizens of Arlington Heights, I want to tell you that you're the best. You give us the best resources and everything we need to do our job properly and to the best of our ability for you. I would be least to say I want to thank my family, my wife Jennifer, my daughter Mary, my mom and dad Kim and John, my in-laws Greg and Colleen in the back, and all the friends who have shown up tonight. Without your support and movement and pushing me along the years, I wouldn't be where I am today. And finally, last but not least, I want to thank the men and women of the Arlington Heights Fire Department. To you, I've formed relationships with you over the last 18 years here, and I can honestly say that each and every one of you, I've learned something from you, and it's become part of me and made me who I am today. I'm a firm believer that leadership is non-directional and that it can come from any rank, any seniority, any position. And every day here at the department, everybody is passing along their tidbits and leadership items that goes to make our department what it is. So our department is important, and it's based on our people, not based on our badge or our uniform or the shiny equipment we show up in, but it's based on people and relationships you form. And I've been happy to form those relationships with you over the last 18 years, and I look forward to building on that and forming many more. I'm honored to be a firefighter in Arlington Heights. Thank you very much.
Take your oath. Okay, next is Ross Chapman being promoted from lieutenant to battalion chief. Soon-to-be battalion chief Chapman was hired onto the Arlington Heights Fire Department as a firefighter in March of 2007, and he was promoted to lieutenant in 2018. During his tenure, Ross has gained valuable knowledge and experience that has provided him with the background necessary to successfully fulfill the battalion chief position. This includes advanced fire officer, company fire officer, enhanced all hazards incident management / unified command, hazmat and TRT certifications, incident command and safety training, and leadership courses, just to name a few. In addition to the above, Ross holds a bachelor's degree in fire service management from Southern Illinois University and a master's degree in emergency services management from Columbia Southern University. He's an accredited fire officer through CPSE and a certified urban search and rescue specialist through Texas A&M University. He has served as the training coordinator for the MABUS Division I Technical Rescue Team and as a rescue squad officer with the Illinois Urban Search and Rescue Task Force 1. Ross has given back to the department and community through his role as vice chairman of the Foreign Fire Insurance Tax Board and leading the annual Arlington Heights Fire Department Local 3105 coat drive, as well as being involved in other charitable initiatives. Ross, his wife Kate, and then daughters Harper and Dylan reside in Arlington Heights. Congratulations, soon-to-be Battalion Chief Bet Chapman, on your promotion. And Ross's wife Kate will pin his badge after we swear him in. So Ross, if you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your full name,
I, Ross Chapman,
having been appointed to the office of Fire Battalion Chief
having been appointed to the office of Fire Battalion Chief
in the village of Arlington
in
Heights,
the village of Arlington Heights,
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the
and
duties
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Battalion Chief.
Thank you.
All right, Ross, the floor is yours.
All right. Yeah, I can't say it much better than DC Banker did, but again, thank you to the village board, Mayor Hayes, village manager Recklouse, Chief Harris, DC Banker. It's an incredible opportunity to be here. Working for the Arlington Heights Fire Department was my dream job. I came here when I was 21. I got hired one spot behind Andy, and it's been a great ride. I'm super pumped that we live here, we work here. The men and women of the Arlington Heights Fire Department, you guys are the best. Working alongside you guys every day has been the honor of a lifetime, and I can't wait to continue to do that for years to come. Thank you to my girls. I wouldn't be here without you guys, and more good things ahead. So thank you all.
Ben. All right, next is Chris Reimut, being promoted from lieutenant to battalion chief. Battalion chief, soon to be battalion chief. It's not official yet. Was hired onto the Arlington Heights Fire Department as a firefighter in March of 2003 and was promoted to lieutenant in 2016. During his tenure, Chris has gained valuable knowledge and experience that provided him the background necessary to successfully fulfill the battalion chief position. This includes Fire Officer 2, Fire Department Safety Officer, Incident Safety Officer, Hazardous Materials Incident Command, Vertical 1 and 2, FEMA Emergency Managers Advanced Academy, and U.S. Coast Guard Officer Candidate School. In addition to the above, Chris earned a Bachelor of Science degree from Southern Illinois University in 2003 and a Master's of Business Administration from Benedictine University in 2009. He also serves as an adjunct instructor at Harper Community College, specializing in fire science and emergency management. Some of the courses he teaches include building construction, fire tactics, strategy and leadership, and OSFM Instructor 1 and 2. Lieutenant Reimut currently serves as our water rescue team leader and as the fire department liaison to the Northwest Central Dispatch. He also serves as a member of the Community Risk Reduction Team. This knowledge is invaluable to our fire and rescue responses and the safety of our community stakeholders. Chris also gives back to the community, having volunteered as a Cub Scout leader, youth sports coach, and is a life member of the National Eagle Scout Association. Chris, his wife Colleen, and daughter Kristen, and son Jimmy live in Lombard. Congratulations, Chris. And your wife, Colleen, will be pinning your badge in just a moment after we make this official. So if you now raise your right hand and repeat after me, I, and state your full name. Having been appointed to the office of Fire Battalion Chief
having been appointed to the office of Fire Battalion Chief
in the village of Arlington Heights,
in the village of Arlington Heights,
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Battalion Chief. Okay, Chris.
Thank you. Well, I guess it's my turn to talk now. So, Mayor Hayes, board, thank you for your trust and your support of the fire department over the years since my tenure here started. It's always been phenomenal. We've never wanted for anything. We've always known we have this full support of the village, and we truly appreciate everything you do for us. Chief, Mr. Recklaus, Deputy Chief, where'd he go? Banker, there he is. So you were sitting over here. Thank you for the trust you placed in me in this position. I will do my best to fulfill the job to the best of my abilities. So I also like to acknowledge my family, my wife Colleen, my daughter Kristen, and my son Jimmy for all the support over the years, my parents, Gene and Mary Lou, my brother Nick, my father-in-law Ken, my brother-in-law Brian, there he is. So brother and Brian, everyone's scattered. So, and their family, my whole family, and everyone I've known throughout the years, my family and friends for support in this. And finally, last time I was fortunate enough to stand up here and thank everyone for their support. The one group I forgot made it very clear the next morning who I forgot, so I would be remiss if I did not do that today. To the men and women in the back of the room, you are the lifeblood of our department. Every day, your dedication, your professionalism, and your compassion is awe-inspiring. Truly. The residents of this village are incredibly lucky to have such a highly dedicated group of individuals ready to serve them every single day, to put their lives on the line for their safety. And they can sleep a little better at night knowing that you're there 24 hours a day. To you, all of you, I truly work for you now. I will spend the rest of my career ensuring that you are supported to the best of my ability so you can continue to do that, make that great difference for the people of our great town. Thank you.
Well said. This one, take it over here with Becky. Okay, okay. Right, next is Andrew Hansen. Promoted from firefighter paramedic to lieutenant. Lieutenant Hansen was hired onto the Arlington Heights Fire Department as a firefighter in February of 2014. During his tenure, Drew has gained valuable knowledge and experience, receiving many different certifications and completing numerous professional development courses that provided him the background necessary to successfully fulfill the lieutenant position. This includes certification as an advanced operations firefighter, paramedic, fire apparatus engineer, fire service instructor 1, FEMA medical specialist, and emergency rescue diver, just to name a few. In addition to the above, Drew has earned 2 associate's degrees, Applied Science and Emergency Medical Services and Applied Science and Fire Service Operations from Moraine Valley Community College. He successfully completed his Bachelor of Arts in Biology and Pre-Medicine from Augustana College. He is the union president for Local 3105, the Director of Health, Safety, and Education for the Associated Firefighters of Illinois, and was designated by Illinois legislators as the sole representative of a statewide organization of EMS responders to serve on the statewide advisory committee established by Governor J.B. Pritzker. Drew and his wife Sharon live in Downers Grove. Drew's wife Sharon will pin his badge after we make it official. So Drew, we'll go ahead and do that now. If you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your full name,
I, Andrew Hansen,
having been appointed to the office of Fire Lieutenant
having been appointed to the office of Fire Lieutenant
in the village of Arlington Heights,
in the village of Arlington Heights,
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Lieutenant.
Oh, come on. Picture, please.
Mayor Hayes, Village Board, Village Leadership, Manager Reckloss, thank you very much. It's an absolute privilege working for this village and this fire department, that your leadership never compromises on public safety and putting the care of the residents first. And we can't thank you guys enough. We can't do it without you. It's a big team. I know I've talked about that plenty of times before, but really, really appreciate all your support through the years. Chief Harris and his administrative staff, the men and women of the Arlington Heights Fire Department, can't thank you guys enough. Working alongside you every single day is the greatest privilege I've ever had in my life. Really, your care that you provide all of our patients day in and day out is unparalleled. And it's really humbling to be a part of. And it's, like I said before, it's one of my greatest honors. Looking across the room to chiefs, current, past, it's just we are so fortunate to have the mentors that we have here, of being a younger leader that have set the example for us and following in your large footprints. And to all of you, thank you. And thank you for caring enough to come back. We have union presidents all the way to our original union president, Joe Clark, in the room. And again, your leadership, we can't thank you enough that you care enough to come back to these big moments for us. And then to my family, I've been absolutely blessed with the best role models anyone could ever ask for. My parents dedicated their entire lives to civil service. My mom was a high school teacher, and I don't think they ever pay any teacher enough, but I can't imagine being a high school teacher, and she taught me that any moment you have with someone, you can literally change their lives in any work that you do. And to my father, who is our superhero, we still call him Batman to this day, dedicated his entire career and life to the fire service. And if I can make just a fraction of the impact that you made across the entire state, it would be a great career. So thank you for everything you've given me. I got two older brothers that are just shining examples. Mike at Schaumburg, a captain at Schaumburg, who just had to make the biggest footprints everywhere he went, and tried my best to fulfill them. I just, of course, had to choose the same college to play football at and everything, but it was always an honor being held to the standard that Mike set, and to my brother John, who is just a courageous individual and taught me it's always okay to be yourself, and is in the limelight more than anyone, and it's truly inspirational. And to my wife Sharon and her family, your support, I love you guys, and Sharon, you're everything to me. Asking for your number at the hospital that one day was the best thing I could ever have done. So thank you again. Thank you.
Okay, Okay, last but not least, Scott Vasicek, being promoted from firefighter paramedic to lieutenant. Lieutenant Vasicek was hired onto the Arlington Heights Fire Department as a firefighter in March of 2009. During his tenure, Scott has gained valuable knowledge and experience, receiving many different certifications and completing numerous professional development courses that provided him the background necessary to successfully fulfill the lieutenant position. This includes certifications as Advanced Operations Firefighter, Paramedic, Fire Apparatus Engineer, Fire Service Instructor 1 and 2, Advanced Swiftwater, and Company Fire Officer, just to name a few. In addition to the above, Scott holds 2 bachelor's degrees. He earned a Bachelor of Arts in Social Studies with a minor in secondary education from the University of Illinois in 2007. And he also went on to receive a Bachelor of Science from Southern Illinois University in 2011, majoring in fire science management. Scott has given back to the department and the community by serving as on the Wellness Committee, MABUS Division I TRT Education Committee, MICU Committee, I have no idea what that is. And he is the fire department's retirement luncheon coordinator. Scott is president of the Arlington Heights Fire Benevolent Fund, a Camp I Am Me coordinator, and MDA collection and benefit coordinator. Scott, we will now make it official. If you would raise your right hand and repeat after me, I and state your full name.
I, Scott Stephen Vasicek,
Having been appointed to the office of Fire Lieutenant
having been appointed to the office of Fire Lieutenant
in the Village of Arlington Heights,
in the Village of Arlington Heights,
in the County of Cook,
in the County of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations, Lieutenant.
This is my mom, Patricia. Mayor Hayes, Village Board, Manager Reckless, Chief Administration, everybody, thank you, thank you, thank you. Obviously, I won't be able to do it justice like everybody who spoke before me. And for the record, I lobbied that I should definitely go before Drew, because following that is just it's just not fair. So unlike a lot of people in the room, I didn't know anything about the fire service before I got into it. I was just out of college, and I ended up getting hired part-time up in Wakanda, and they'll tell you this as well. I showed up to the first day in shorts and flip-flops, and I had a full beard. And turns out that's frowned upon. But what I learned quickly was that what I wanted to do in life was to help people. And this was a job that I could do that. So I learned early on that fire service was going to be the rest of my life. And when I first started there, I also learned that Arlington Heights was the place I wanted to work. It was the first full-time test I took. It was the only place I wanted to be. So for that, I actually thank the administration 15 plus years ago and human resources and everybody who went out of their way and hired me at that time. I couldn't imagine doing anything else, anywhere else, with anyone else. So it truly is my honor to serve the people of this community, but also to serve the members of Arlington Heights Fire Department. And in my new role, I hope that I can serve you guys, everybody in the back of the room, to the best of my ability. If I were to individually thank everybody that's responsible for me being here, we might be here till the next board meeting. So I'll spare you that. The officers that I've worked with know my appreciation. The current administration knows my appreciation. My family, I obviously could not do this without them. My mom is obviously here, who you met. My stepdad is here. Neither of my brothers could make it. They obviously wish they could be, but I have surprisingly a lot of friends and people from Wakanda that drove in, so I appreciate that. And thank you, and I look forward to another 15, 16 years of doing this. So.
And don't leave, we need to back up. If I could just have all the promotees come up here and we'll take one final picture.
Make it look nice and balanced.
And Chief, why don't you come over here too?
By rank, please.
Let's, let's get a couple guys over here, please.
Balance it out, come on.
Balance it out. We got 3 and 3.
One more.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Yeah, Chief, you're on the end. Why don't you get on the side? There you go. All right. All right, all right, all
This way
right.
a couple of steps. This way a couple of steps.
Are we good?
I don't know, probably. Right there, There we go, there we go. Teamwork, everybody, teamwork. He's got a plan. This kid's the best.
1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Perfect.
I get it.
Let me do one more. Sorry.
I'm trying not to.
2 and 3.
I got it first time.
Perfection, Jim.
Okay, thank you all, guys. Okay, my pleasure. All right. Pleasure. Best part of the job. All right, before I let you leave, let me just, I can't say it any better than those individuals. Said it so well. But it's been my honor for the past 34 years to have served with the men and women of not only our fire department, but our police department, the people that keep this community safe. So I know I speak for all members of the village board. I think I got my thing on, right? I think I speak for all members of the village board, present and past, for just thanking all of you for your dedicated service to the community for so many years. I think you guys are the best fire department and police department in the state of Illinois, and I'll stand by that forever. And so thank you all. Please go and party, enjoy yourself. Okay.
At least from where my was.
Okay. I don't know if they're picking it up on the TV.
So exciting.
Those were great speeches. All those guys.
Yeah, they really were. They were really.
I mean, those were really good, really heartfelt.
Yep.
I'm impressed. Some of the best I've ever heard from firefighters.
No, you know they're going to ask you now. That we leave. No, all of us we do. They don't know there's day jobs. Apparently not. Volunteer jobs. We do it for a reason, and if you're lucky and blessed to do it because you love it, like all of these young people.
You need like real
Well,
Way.
so excited at this point.
That is not my water.
Very good. Being able to do nursing and that, that's
It's very dramatic.
it's just very dramatic. Great idea. Yeah, no, I don't know how that works.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on in the agenda then. And next item that we need to consider are citizens to be heard. And we do have a couple of citizens that want to address the board on items not on the agenda this evening, and they're just reminded of the 3-minute time limit. And the first is Arlen Gould.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Board. Pleasure to be here. This was a last-minute decision to come speak to you. You could tell that because if you look closely, you'll notice I didn't shave this morning. But the reason I did was the closure of the inpatient facility at Endeavor, Northwest Community, has been troubling those of us on the Mental Health Task Force. And we thought it would be appropriate to ask this board to get a bit more involved in this closure. The last time something like this happened, though unrelated, was back when Jewel was going to close its store. Mayor, you'll remember that one, in Arlington Heights. And the board and the mayor got involved then and we're able to change that outcome to the best interest of Arlington Heights. My concern and our concern is that when that inpatient facility closes, patients will need to be transported to other hospitals, be it Evanston, Naperville, if they were within the Endeavor program, or other locations. That's time delayed. That's extra work by the hospital taking them there, or the fire department, if that be the case. And we just don't think that Arlington Heights deserved this treatment. In the article that was posted, that was written in the Daily Herald, they talked about the reason for closing the mental health facility, and we know the demand continues nationally every single day, was because of losses last year in their budget. But further in the article, it talked about the losses being because of a doctor who abused patients and the enormous settlements they had to make out of hospital monies to pay the patients who were abused by this doctor. That was the majority of their loss last year. That was their justification for closing the inpatient facility, and the fact they claimed that the need is not there. Well, I would dispute that. We didn't have time to pull together figures, but we know the demand continues. And so I'm asking this board, and you, Mr. Mayor, to get involved in this. Let's find out really why Arlington Heights is being punished and not Naperville, why Arlington Heights is being punished and not Evanston. There are 2 hospitals in Evanston that patients could go to for mental health, but they can't keep Northwest Community, our community hospital, a hospital that we've all used. I had 2 surgeries there. It just doesn't feel right. So I appreciate all the hard work this board has done, upholding Arlington Heights in the mental health field and expanding our horizons and doing more. But I think your involvement here is necessary. I also wanted to thank our firefighters. As a father of a firefighter, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the hard work of our fire department and our police department. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gould. I don't know that I would analogize this situation to the potential closing of the Jewel store. I think you're talking apples and oranges. But, you know, there's no question of the great need for mental health services. And I just note that they did explain in the letter to me that they're continuing, this is the inpatient services that they will be closing down and sending to other facilities, as you say, but there still will be provision of services for outpatient. And so we'll see what happens from here on in, but thank you for your comments here this evening. Next is Rob, and I don't know if it's Brodecki. Yep. Did I get it right? Yep. Okay, and again, you're just reminded of the 3-minute time limit.
No worries. So I think I was here about a month ago to talk about the topic of road diets and stuff. So I've learned a lot since then. I talked to a couple of my fellow citizens, so I want to thank them all for helping me. And what I learned was that Windsor road diet situation that's going on, despite the fact that it aligned with a number of our village strategies, such as 2, 3, 5, and 7, which touch on topics like environment and sustainability, encouraging pedestrians and bikes, new and creative ways to enhance public safety, and long-term focus on design and maintenance. It was a squeaker, passed with just like 1 vote. I think it was 4-3. So what I really just kind of wanted to do is if, I'd obviously like to see more of these kind of things in the town. So I'd be curious to hear what, if you can remember, was some of the concerns that were addressed that made it, that people were concerned about with doing this kind of a road diet situation. And if you were one of the people who voted no, again, I'm just curious to understand what ultimately led you to be that, to make that choice, so that these issues can be addressed if we're to move forward.
All right, well, we're not going to answer your questions here this evening. This is just for you to voice your opinion or comments.
Okay.
But, we're not prepared to enter into a dialogue on an item that's not on the agenda.
Okay, no, that's understood. I was just hoping that if anybody could name 1 or 2 things, but otherwise I can contact afterwards and see about then get some information then.
Mr.
Mayor, I was
Recklouse?
going to say if he wanted to provide me his contact information, then I can give him mine. I can certainly get him minutes to the meeting that would have a full accounting of how everyone voted and why, if that would work.
So that would be perfect. I'll connect with you afterwards. Then. Okay, thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you, Mr. Brodecki. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the board on items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll close the citizens to be heard portion of the agenda and move on to the consent agenda. Are there any members of the board who wish to remove an item on the consent agenda? Any members of the audience wish to request that an item be removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, any members of the board wish to vote no or pass on any items on the consent agenda?
I would move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by trustee LaBedz, seconded by trustee Schwingbeck. Further questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee LaBedz?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Grasse?
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia?
Yes.
Trustee Shirley?
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Dunnington?
Yes.
Trustee Baldino?
Yes.
President Hayes?
Yes. Just for the petitioners from Courtyard, your liquor license has now been formally approved, and so you don't need to stay any longer. If you have any further questions, oh, there you are. I'm looking at the wrong spot.
Okay, we all look alike.
Okay. Okay. Your item's been approved, and if there's anything else you need to know, you can contact Assistant Manager Nicolle. Okay. All right, there is no other business under consent agenda, so we'll move on to new business. And Tripp, we're finally getting to your item. Where is he? There he is. We do have one motion to report out from our committee of the whole from earlier this evening. And who made that motion again? Trustee Schwingbeck. Go ahead, Trustee Schwingbeck.
I would move, as I did earlier this evening, to concur in the mayor's appointment of Tripp Turchek for appointment to the Special Events Commission with a term ending April 30th, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Schwingbeck, seconded by Trustee Grasse. First, I want to call on Trustee Bertucci before we vote.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm recusing myself because Tripp works within my firm and with me, so to speak, and I will abstain from the vote.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Becky, I don't have a oath.
I'm surprised you don't know it by heart.
I do. He needs to sign it.
Keep reciting it with him.
Yeah.
Okay, Tripp, if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. You should have no trouble now after hearing it 5 times.
No, I
It's
think
the
I messed
same?
this up last time I was up here.
Okay.
So
I, and state your full name,
I, Tripp Turchik,
having been appointed to the office of Special Events Commissioner
having been appointed to the office as Special Events Commissioner
in the Village of Arlington Heights,
in the Village of Arlington Heights,
in the County of Cook,
in the County of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Tripp. Come on forward. And I know you've already got one of these, but I'm going to give you another village logo pin to wear proudly.
Thank
Only wear one at a time, though. And you need to sign your oath with the village clerk. So congratulations.
Thank you, guys, and thank you to the board for supporting me.
Okay. All right, we have 2 other items of new business to consider tonight. And the first is from Chase Bank, a request for sign variations. Is the petitioner present? Why don't you come forward? And these are requests for 3 variations of our sign code. And please introduce yourself and tell us what you're looking to do here.
I'm Matt Piter with Olympic Signs, Andrew Mills with Olympic Signs representing Chase Bank. Chase Bank is requesting.
Hold on one second.
Yeah.
I don't know if that microphone is not working, but you need to speak into it if it's not.
You got it. What about this? A
That's
little
better.
Okay. Chase Bank is requesting 4 wall signs on their new building, where only 2 wall signs would be allowed otherwise per code.
Okay. Anything else to offer? If not, I'm going to turn it over to Emily. Are you introducing this?
Yes.
Okay, please.
All right, thank you. So as you mentioned, Mayor, Chase is requesting variations from the village code for additional signage. The Chase in question is a Chase that's currently under construction. It's at 585 East Palatine Road. They are located in the B2 General Business District. It is zoned for commercial uses, and the comp plan does designate the long-term use for the shopping center as commercial. As you can see, the 3 variations that are being requested are to allow relief for 4 wall signs where we typically only permit 2, as well as to allow for signage on the west wall of the building and the south wall of the building, where currently no signage is permitted because they do not front right-of-way along those portions of the building. This is a map that gives you the location. This is the Town and Country Shopping Center. You can see the subject property in red at the corner of Palatine and Rand Road. And then this is actually their site plan. I realize it's quite busy, so you can ignore all of the landscaping, but what I wanted to draw your attention to are the little red rectangles on the side of the building. That's where the wall signs are proposed to be located. The rectangles on the north and the northeast corner are signs that are permitted by code because they do front right-of-way. And the 2 signs that you see in that purple circle are the 2 signs that are not permitted by code because they face the interior of the shopping center. This is what the signage looks like. So the signage on the bottom left is signage that's permitted per code. That's, again, the north and the northeast corner. The 2 signs you see on the right-hand side of the slide are the 2 that they are requesting relief for. They are both the same size. They're 29.7 square feet. This is a summary of the 4 wall signs that they're requesting. All 4 signs are the same size. And again, these signs were considered by the Design Commission. The Design Commission did recommend unanimously to approve the signage. They did feel that because the signs are going to be on the sides of the building that are interior to the shopping center, it will help those patrons that are within the shopping center trying to navigate to the building, locate the building. So they did feel that the variations were warranted for that reason. And thus, the motion that is before the board this evening is a motion to direct staff and the village attorney to prepare final documents that would approve these sign variations subject to the conditions you see on the slide.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rodman. Questions or comments from the board? Trustee Schwingbeck.
Thank you, Mayor. Randy, I know this was a while ago, but this is the AT&T area, correct?
It's the same site, roughly,
Yeah. What I went looking for it, but didn't we talk about some of the same similar signage when they had come to us, wasn't it? I know that was before, Emily, you were here, but.
To be totally honest with you, Trustee Schwingbeck, I don't recall. It's possible we can certainly.
Yeah, I just remember them talking about the exact same situation, and we found that acceptable just because of the layout of this building. But I know they had their signs almost in the exact same spot on the buildings.
That sounds correct. I
Yeah.
mean, and it's a unique site, given the orientation of those streets, and,
Right.
and that's one of the reasons staff and the design commission looked at it this way.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the signs. I mean, it's very typical of Chase Bank. I don't have any problems with it, and like I said, I just remember it being almost identical to AT&T with their logos.
I can confirm that staff did look at that. AT&T did have, actually they had 5 signs on their building, also on those interior walls, and Verizon, which is an existing building, also has signage on the back of their building.
Yeah, no, I'm all in favor of this.
Trustee Baldino.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I was just going to clarify that. The discussion was on the Verizon building, and I remember it quite clearly because I was the lone voice of dissent. And my main issue was that they wanted to put up wall signs that were behind trees, and so you couldn't see them. We went really quickly through the slides, and my question basically is, are there a bunch of trees in front of the front door there that are going to block the signs this time?
Not according to the landscaping plan. They
Okay.
should not block the
It-
visibility.
it
The signs are
shouldn't.
also pretty high on the building as well.
Right, and the way the building is laid out, and I'm looking closer now, it doesn't look like they're being blocked. And one of the justifications was that AT&T had 5 signs, this is 4, so I have no problem with supporting this. Thank you. Yep, thank you.
Anybody else? Trustee Bertucci,
Mayor, I'm just going to move forward and make the motion.
please.
I move to direct staff and the village attorney to prepare final documents approving the requested relief for consideration at a future board meeting for DC number 24-071, approval to allow the following sign variations from Chapter 30 of the Municipal Code as listed 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Motion by trustee Bertucci, seconded by trustee Schwingbeck. Other questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have one other item under new business. That's a request for a special use permit to allow a large amusement facility on the property at 30 West Rand Road to be named Urban Air at Arlington Plaza. And also for a request for a special use permit to allow a restaurant on the subject property and associated variations to reduce the parking requirement. Is the petitioner present? Now, I'm looking in the right direction. Just give us your name and tell us what you're looking to do here.
Good evening, Nino Hermes, president, co-owner.
Charlie Oraham, co-owner.
Tom Piazza, construction administrator.
Okay. Who's going to be the spokesman?
So we're looking to open a urban air adventure park, which has trampolines, go-karts, zip line, bumper cars, laser tag, Ultimate Ninja courses. We have another location that's being opened in Glenview right now. It should be open by May. So we're asking for approval for this location.
Okay. Did you guys have anything else?
Specifically, we're asking for a parking variance, a large amusement variance, as well as a variance on the parking, 4 parking spaces to be exact.
Okay, you're going to have to speak into the microphone, guys.
Up 4 parking spaces to be exact.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Ms. Radman?
I won't be quite as succinct as they were, but I'll try. All right, so the applicants, of course, this evening are looking for approval for an amusement facility and a restaurant with some parking variations located at 30 West Rand Road. The tenant space that they are looking to occupy is the former Burlington Coat Factory. They will be taking about 67,000 square feet of that space. It'll be subdivided into 2 spaces. The remaining space is about 26,500 square feet. It is not currently leased, but they did submit a market study that indicates that the space is leasable to a second single tenant or could be divided for multiple tenants. They are requesting, as I noted, 2 special use permits, and as it relates to the variations, they're requesting a variation to waive the requirement for a traffic study and a parking variation to reduce the parking requirement by 7 parking stalls for the overall shopping center. This is the location of the property. It's at Arlington Plaza at the northwest corner of Rand Road and Arlington Heights Road. If you look a little bit more closely, this image depicts how the space is being divided, so you can see they are taking the majority of that existing vacant space. One thing I will note, as there were some concerns that were raised at the Plan Commission related to noise mitigation, is it's difficult to see with the shading in this image, but behind the building is really just a parking area and a loading dock and a detention facility, and then there's the 4-lane road before you back up to residential. So there should be no impact from the noise generated by the use on any of the neighboring properties. This is a summary of their business operations. They do focus primarily on youth with a variety of amusements that they offer: go-karts, laser tags, trampolines, bumper cars. They will also have a restaurant that is ancillary to the use. They have indicated that patrons that will utilize the restaurant must come in to use the amusements, so you cannot simply go to Urban Air to access the restaurant. So it is not a destination restaurant. You can see that they do have their proposed hours of operation, and they are anticipating selling alcohol, so they will come before the board separately to request that liquor license. These are the variation requests. I won't go through those again. I will just reiterate that both staff as well as the Plan Commission felt that a traffic study was not necessary because there were a number of full access points into the shopping center. The traffic circulation seems to work well, so there were no concerns about that. They did submit a full parking study that indicated that the existing parking within the center is more than sufficient for their use. So staff and the Plan Commission were supportive of their parking variation request as well. So as you can see, the Plan Commission did vote 9-0 to recommend approval to the board of both special use requests as well as the variation requests, subject to a few conditions related to the liquor license. They are subject potentially to a condition regarding interior soundproofing should there be complaints from the future tenant to the east or the existing tenant, which is a furniture retailer to the west. And then lastly, this is, oops, went one too far, excuse me. This is the motion that's before the board this evening.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rodman. I think this would be a great addition to the Village of Arlington Heights. I've got two grandkids of myself that spend a lot of time at birthday parties. And so they're always looking for new places to go, and this would be something that would be really sought after, I think, by a lot of people looking for fun things to do for those kinds of parties. And so I think it'll be a welcome addition to our community. Just a couple of questions. The first, I was wondering why you stay open 1 hour less on Saturdays than Fridays. You're only open till 8 on Saturday night?
Could I see that again? That should be 9 on Saturdays. Sundays, it closes an hour early.
Okay, so yeah, I was just curious why
Good question.
on Saturday. So you're going to open till 9 on Saturday?
Yes. There's some youth, like high school nights that during summer or spring break or Christmas break that we might stay open an extra hour, but that's going to be just for older kids.
Okay.
The younger ones would leave at 9.
Okay. The other question I had was how fast do the go-karts go?
So there's 4 levels. If you want to come in, you can.
Well,
they're
I do.
electric. They'll go 40 miles an hour.
Okay.
But they're up to us to adjust the speed. So we lower them down to a level 2.
Depending on the age of the person who's using it? Or what?
Yeah. When we have younger kids, we'll drop them to like a level 1. If the board ever wants to come in, I can, like I said, I could raise them up, but they have automatic stopping, so it knows the track. So when it gets closer to the edge, even if you're pressing the gas, it'll automatically slow down on you for you to make the turn.
So do you have, do you only have kids on the track at one time, or do you mix adults?
No, we
and
mix
kids?
them. But when there's, like during traffic, like when it's high volume, it'll automatically stay at level 2. We won't raise it up any higher because we don't want older kids kind of flying by younger ones.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Questions from the board? Trustee LaBedz.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to Arlington Heights. I think this is great. I only wish you were around when my kids were young enough, but things have gotten better these days, I would say. I do have a few questions. The hours of operation shown don't include Sunday, so are you open on Sunday or not?
We are open on Sundays. So the hours should be 12 to 8 on Sunday and then 12 to 9 on Saturday.
Looks like Sunday got mixed up with Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, so Friday and
So, yeah, actually Friday and Saturday should be the same, and then the Saturday hours should be 10 to 8.
Got it. Okay.
There was some kind of mistake there. I'm sorry.
That's okay. There was like that in the staff development report too, so I wasn't quite sure where the disconnect was because it didn't seem like something that should be, because something I read did indicate you were open on Sunday.
Yes, absolutely.
So it wouldn't make sense to be closed on Sunday. It would be busy. Will you have bike racks? are
Plaza
they
has
required?
some bike racks, does
I
it?
believe they required us to install bike racks.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
know that was in our lease as well.
Okay,
Yes.
because I can see it's close enough to
There definitely is-
residential.
Our lease was contingent on bike racks. I know
Oh,
that for
okay.
sure. Yes.
Okay, and do you allow unaccompanied minors? I mean, how do you work this with adult, at what age, at all ages? Does an adult have to be present, or how does it work?
When there is no drop-off service unless it is a camp that's going on. So if you're coming, you have to come with an adult. They have to sign a waiver. So you have to have someone 18 and older to sign a waiver for the younger kids. The only time we'll allow a drop-off service is when we're running camps.
Okay, or maybe your high school night, or would they also have to have their parents hanging around?
Well, they're supposed to be supervised because they're under 18.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's good to know, because that didn't come out, I didn't see in any of the material, but I'm certainly supportive of this, and would be happy to make a motion.
Okay, please.
I move to direct staff and the village attorney to prepare final documents approving the requested relief for consideration at a future board meeting for PC 24-017, a special use permit to allow a large amusement facility and a special use permit to allow a restaurant on the subject property, along with the following variations from Chapter 28, Section 6.12-1, to waive the requirement of a traffic study, and variation from Chapter 28, Section 10.4-4, to reduce the parking requirements from 1,146 parking spaces to 1,139 parking spaces, and subject to the conditions as recommended by staff and development, the Staff Development Committee and Plan Commission, that the petitioner shall obtain a liquor license for any alcohol to be served on the premises. The petitioner shall provide interior soundproofing if noise complaints occur within the shopping center or on adjacent properties at the discretion of the village, and that the petitioner shall comply with all federal, state, and village codes, regulations, and policies.
Second.
Motion by trustee LaBedz, second by trustee Baldino. Trustee Bertucci.
Thank you, gentlemen. I know that most of what you're looking for is the parking, but I do have a question in reference to liquor and go-karts that are going 40 miles an hour. So tell me, and I saw that there were some things in the minutes with the Plan Commission. So tell me about your policy about alcohol and go-karts.
So the way that Urban Air has it now is everyone has to have a wristband that's magnetic, and you got to kind of check into every attraction. If you come to the restaurant and ask for alcohol, the employee has to cut your wristband, so you will not be able to go on any attractions after that.
Got it. Okay. And then obviously, we can talk to you further at the Liquor Commission hearing.
Okay.
Good question. Trustee Tinaglia.
Thanks, Mayor Hayes. A couple of things. Number one, I'm curious, what attracted you to Arlington Heights for this wonderful program?
So Nina over here lives in Arlington Heights, and
That's a great start.
so we looked in the area, a lot of areas, and the closest kind of birthday area besides Chuck E. Cheese was all the way in Schaumburg, which was Sky Zone? Sky Zone. So there was nothing we saw for the age group that we're looking for in like a 15, 20-minute drive area.
And you have one of these underway right now?
Yeah,
or
it's being built.
operational?
We should be open May 2nd right now in Glenview.
There is over 300 urban airs already that have been opened. They were based out of Texas.
This is a
So
franchise.
they started
Yeah.
making their way out here.
Yeah.
When we came there, we grew up Niles area. So we needed to, you had to pay 2 franchise agreements in order to lock down the area, because we said, this is our area, this is where we grew up, this is where I live. And to be honest, my wife is the one that said, why don't you think about Arlington Heights? Because of our daughter being in school. She said there's nowhere to take them other than Chuck E. Cheese. And if they're too young, they really can't partake in the video gaming. This gives them the opportunity to not only have fun, but also to exercise as well. These kids, by the time they're done, they're exhausted, and that's what the parents want. They want to take them home, take a shower, and go to sleep. So
That's
So
a
it's
true
not just,
parent.
that's why Urban Air does not allow a lot of video gaming, arcade games. It's all about getting kids interacting. That's why when we
Active.
start dealing with the churches, the summer camps, once it does get extremely hot, that's when we start bringing in the summer camps as well.
Yeah.
Then that way we kind of base our seasons to be consistent all the way across throughout the year.
Well, I'm asking you this because I think it's wonderful and I think it's amazing, and I'm really appreciate you. I appreciate you guys coming here and doing this, taking a big empty space like that and making it usable, you know, and putting it on the tax rolls. That's a great thing for all of us, and it's a cool idea. I mean, this is a really cool idea. So I'm glad you're here doing it. For staff, really quick question, maybe not. Is there any chance you'll ever have 1,146 cars parked in the parking lot for this?
I doubt it.
All right.
Because most, when they did when like Urban Air does studies, it's like 2.5 kids to every one car.
How many people do you think will be in there when it's really capacity?
Kids wise, maybe
Anybody,
like
everybody.
400 with parents, 500 max.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
that would be a lot, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
We might open the rest of that center, that extra 20,000 square feet, if that happens.
For us too, understanding that we're in the restaurant and bar business as well. So we understand being overly occupied does not give you a great experience.
Right.
Especially if you want kids running around, they're getting on the trampolines, they start getting bumped, and all of a sudden everybody's crying, you know, running to their moms. We don't want that. We normally, the kids stay for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And we are on top of it because everything's censored. So after 2 hours, we would say, whoever has a pink bracelet, your time is up. And then we start filtering out.
So that's how you manage it?
Yes.
Yeah, they won't be able to get on the attraction as soon as that timer hits.
Gotcha. Smart, really smart. Well, so Emily, I bring this up for you just for future knowledge and future consideration. Our zoning regulations are as they are, and these are the numbers based on the square footage. But in a space like this, where it's used up by so much big equipment and so on, the occupancy, there's just no way. When I saw that number, I thought 1,100 parking stalls required for this. I thought,
No, that's actually what's provided in the center currently.
how many are you required for them?
So the parking calculation was done based on the breakup of uses within the space. So there was, actually, it was based on 3 separate uses: the amusement use, the restaurant use, and then some seating that they have within the space. So the peak capacity, which is well beyond what they practically anticipate, but the peak capacity that was used for the parking study was an occupancy of 838 people. That's, I think, pretty significant, but that's what was used for the parking study. And then based on applying those ratios for the 3 different uses, the peak demand that was estimated in terms of the number of parking stalls they would need is 332, which I think is still probably excessive, but did fall within what the center can provide minus the 7 stalls.
So the whole center is still fine.
So the whole center, there are 1,139 stalls in the center. Based on the study they provided, the center would need 1,146 stalls for them, plus all of the existing uses.
Gotcha.
And the anticipated use for the vacant space.
Awesome.
So hence the need for the 7 space variation.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. That's all I had.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Trustee Dunnington.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you so much for bringing this to Arlington Heights. I know that when my kids wanted to go to a trampoline park, we had to go to the far side of Schaumburg or all the way to Vernon Hills. So I think this is really needed and people are going to enjoy it. People are looking for experiences. It'll be great for birthday parties. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Trustee Bertucci.
Just going back to the go-karts, and usually it's not my role, I leave that to the environmentals. Are those go-karts gas-powered or are they electric?
Electric.
They are electric. Okay, thank you.
You raised one question in my mind in terms of the time limits. If somebody wants to have a birthday party, what's the maximum length that they can have it?
So it's 2 hours. They play for an hour and a half. Then they get a party room for a half hour to eat pizza and cut a cake.
Okay. I think that's long enough. The parents will get tired and want to not stay longer than 2 hours. So, okay. Somebody else have a question? All right, we have a motion and a second, right?
Yes.
Anything from the audience? Mr. Zick.
Hello, thank you. Just a quick question. I actually live in the area that's just on the other side of the retention ponds from furnaces coming in. And and I'm forming my questions and my thoughts as I was sitting here, so I apologize. But one thing I'm concerned about, this is a really cool thing. And I can see that development being very popular, knowing the demographics of all the kids and everybody that's around that area. I can see this being very popular, and thank you for bringing it here. The one consideration that I have, and I appreciate probably everybody thinking about is, well, a couple considerations. One, the sound. Yeah, I know you're saying, look at the sound barrier if there's a problem that comes up. I would appreciate maybe looking at it before it comes up and having that established as it comes in, so it doesn't cause a problem. Yes, there's a retention pond that is there, the retention area that is there, but the sound could get loud enough that it would go. It's not that big of an area. And then the other case has to do with all the traffic. I could see this being wildly popular, and I could also see, riding bikes, and I appreciate that question. A lot of kids riding bikes over there and then wanting to stay around the area perhaps too. So that's just something I think to kind of consider. What's going to happen to the traffic? I know you said 400, and I believe you said it could max out to 800 plus. That's a lot of people in that area, and it needs something in that area, definitely, because Burlington's been gone for a while. But I would just ask the board and the village to kind of consider what's going to be the ramifications when, if, I'll probably say when this becomes as successful as it does. How is that traffic flow, and how is that going to be considered?
Okay,
So,
thank you. Anyone else in the audience? All right, if you would just address the noise issue primarily. I know I read through the Plan Commission mess. I know you said that the primary noise comes from the kids.
Yes.
It's not coming from the engines on the go-karts or anything.
So I'm Tom Piazza, the construction administrator for Urban Air. We do the parks all around the country for different type of franchisee owners like these two. We've done sound studies. Currently, right now, we have designed a 4-hour rated wall for around the perimeter of the park. That 4-hour rated wall provides several principles for sound deadening requirements, right? So it adds density to the wall, has sound absorption materials, as well as creates an effective barrier from sound leaving the space. When we've done our sound studies in the spaces, we've noticed that the loudest noise that is being generated from the space is actually the yelling and having fun of children. The go-karts are electric. None of the amusements create any noise. They're all rides, as in glide rails or soft play areas as trampolines or ball pits of stuff of that nature. So we've done the sound studies. We do provide a 4-hour rated wall, which is 2 layers of 5H drywall on 2 opposite sides with the 6-inch sound deadening air gap between, as well as insulation. So it provides a dual purpose wall for us, effective fire barrier as well as a sound barrier.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from the audience? Anything from the board? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good luck to you. When do you intend to open?
Depends on how many times we go back and forth with building permits. We dealt with Cook County before this, so.
Okay, what's your goal? What's your goal?
August.
August. Okay, great. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we have no other new business to consider. Is there anything from the village manager?
Nothing this evening.
Right. Anything from the board under petitions and communications? Trustee
Mayor, can I
Schwingbeck?
just ask a question?
Yep.
Randy, when Arlen Gould talked earlier, were we, in talking to a representative of the hospital today, I know they've been working through this for about a year now. Did we have any prior knowledge of that? Or I know, Mayor, you said you got a letter on it, but did they talk to us at all?
The letter I got was the day before.
Yeah, the first that the village formally heard of this was in the letter. I have been speaking with staff, both in Health and Human Services, Social Service Division, as well as Police Department with our critical incident co-responders. And so I am getting feedback from them on what this would mean, and I'll have some additional information on that for the board as part of the Friday packet this week.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind hearing how it's going to affect our police and fire department. Yeah. But I know they've been thinking about it now this isn't something that they just made a quick decision on. I was told they've been thinking about it for well over a year.
Yeah, and what I can tell you is, I think, some of the comments tonight were directed towards the value of inpatient care
Right.
in the community generally, just as, you know, a resource and being for folks that need those services, having access to them nearby. I can tell you that the consensus is from an operational standpoint, this is going to have very little impact on it because the way that we work is if someone has to, you know, requires those services, they go to an emergency room.
Right.
And then, you know, that's our interaction with them. In some cases, our understanding, you know, even in the past, depending on if the person, what their insurance was, they may have ended up at this facility, they may have ended up being transferred somewhere else.
Right.
It's just the nature of the business. And so we never really had a lot of interaction once they were put into inpatient from a village standpoint. It was more getting them there. And
Right.
because we still have the input through the emergency room, none of our folks seem to think those things have an impact on village operations. Again, there's other arguments about the value of it in the community, and I won't comment on that.
Yeah, and and again, I was told that it was just the inpatient, not outpatient, and that they were going to work closely with individuals if they had to go somewhere else. I just wanted to know, you know, in advance how far you guys had heard about it. So, thank you.
All right, Trustee Bertucci.
Just to piggyback on Trustee Schwingbeck's thoughts there, and understanding what you're saying, Randy, it seems to me that maybe getting information out to the public that the emergency room is still open for business. My particular concern would be kids, adults, with anyone with suicidal ideations, I think is the way they say it. And making sure that they are, you know, that there will be help and services at emergency for them. And then it obviously it's handled from there. And then certainly the outpatient. But we may need to help the hospital in getting that word out as people tend to get anxious about something like this. And what does that mean? So.
Thank you for that.
Okay, anything else from the board? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Trustee Baldino, seconded by Trustee LaBedz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for joining us this evening.